Recording in progress.
We're grateful.
Yes, we are.
Well, we are happy to be able to be with you today, and we are excited about the topic that we've got to discuss. It is a blessing, and I appreciate all the time that you're taking to be with us this evening. It's a blessing to have people that are interested in marriage and making it better. Even if you got a great marriage, you can always improve on it, right?
That's exactly right.
And so you're fortunate because this is our first lesson in the third quarter for this year. And the title is dealing with health and finances in marriage. And so this evening, we're going to spend about hopefully 25, 30 minutes of us teaching the biblical perspectives of togetherness in this marriage class.
That's right.
And the title is going to be Bone from My Bone and Flesh from My Flesh.
Flesh from my flesh.
Yeah. Well, for those that may be on the first time coming in, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Dr. Otis Miller. I'm associate pastor of Russian Springs Baptist Church. I'm a retired aquatic animal health veterinarian. And Aquanetta, my lovely wife, is an RN diplomat specializing in ophthalmic surgery. Well, welcome, my dear.
Welcome to you too.
Our marriages combined represent about 78 years of marital experience. Yeah. And how that is done, you want to give yours first and then I'll follow?
That's fine.
Okay.
Well, my years equal 41 years.
Oh, okay.
I've experienced divorce, death, and now this lovely young man here. I tell him he's the best. I say the best for last. For God say the best for last.
Yeah, I like to hear that.
And so with my 41 years, I have 3 children that came out of that marriage. And that's Garnetta, Gary, and Fran.
All right. Well, take your 41 and add my 37 to it. There you go. Talina Daniel Miller was my first wife. 3 kids, 3 sons. You got the girls, I got the boys. Isaac, Joshua, and Joseph, biblical names. And Talina's been 9 years now with the Lord in heaven. And my lovely wife, now Aquanetta, been about 5 years, going on 6. Well, it's a blessing because God put us together, because I don't think we didn't expect it to be in
Neither
it,
one of
right?
us wanted to be in this position
Yeah,
right
we
now.
didn't want to get married again. And so we thought, hey, this might work out. With neither one of us have an interest in each other.
That's right.
And so we were going to be travel buddies, and that's a whole nother story. But us being together now gives us an opportunity to do things that we wouldn't have had done before, like some of the things you mentioned, same spouse marriage for long term, remarriage, what they call blended family,
Blended families, yes.
divorce and death of a spouse, or spouses in this case, and of yours, single parenting.
Single parenting,
yeah.
I think I've covered all the bases.
I think we've got some things that we can talk about from what God has done in our lives. That's the key, and that's why we're talking now, because to do this, kind of private people, but what God has done in our life, I don't think we can deny that, and I don't think God wants to hide it. So,
well, it's a testament to His great goodness.
And His grace,
and yes.
So
it wasn't easy, but with Him, that's how we ended up with each other.
There's a lot of people wasn't as fortunate to come out as we did.
Yes.
And we want to give God all the glory and the praise, because it wasn't because of us, but because of our desperate needs and praying to Him and asking Him. So He's given us this marriage platform. And our prayer is that the Lord would anoint us to be able to communicate to you what He's done in our lives in an effective way, so that the information we share will be helpful in stabilizing and strengthening and growing your marriage as well. what we expect as an outcome is that the couples be able to use what we have shared that'll strengthen their relationships. Yeah, and feel connected once again, or more connected, or bonded more, right?
And hopefully this will make someone feel like they're not alone.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot
Yes.
of times you think, oh man, I'm the only one having this problem, but we all experience problems like this. And so we sharing things with you that we wouldn't ordinarily do so with anyone else.
Absolutely. So our lesson again, it's Enjoying Your Journey in Marriage, is our ministry class, and it's taken from Genesis 2:23, and the New Living Translation says it this way. At last, the man exclaimed, "This one is bone for my bone and flesh for my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken from man." So we're going to look at this and delve into this. But before we do that, let's just step back just a little bit.
Okay.
Before this verse 23, because we want to set the backdrop of why this man is so excited about what he's saying, and because this is an emotional moment for him. Well, you know this, but let's just capsulize it. God made the earth. We know that. He put in it everything that was needed to sustain itself, right? After he created all of this, then he created man. Yeah. So he put man in after the world and after the earth was created, so that man could also be sustained.
Yes.
Yeah. So when he created the earth, it wasn't like he created man.
No.
Man was created different. The animals were spoken to existence, the earth was spoken, the sky and water and everything God said, he spoke it, trees, and it was the night and the day. He spoke it. But when Adam was formed, it was by God's hands from the dirt. And then he breathed his breath into Adam. Yeah. And he became a living soul. So God not only was made this man, God is inside this man.
And the personal touch of the hand. That's just like a potter, when you put your hands on it, you take ownership.
How about that? This is a creation.
That's
personal creation.
A personal.
He made that. And so he became a living soul. Adam had God inside of him. Well, he was smart too.
Of course.
He named all those animals that presented to him, gave them the names that we use today, but he was alone.
Yes.
None of those animals looked like him. And as all the things that God said was good, it's interesting that God said one thing that wasn't good, and that was for man to be alone. We could talk about that, couldn't we? That's an inside joke.
A whole night on that.
Inside joke on that one. The man needed a helper suitable or like unto him. So God created a man, Adam, and God created a woman, Eve. However, God did not go back to the dirt to make that woman.
No.
He used what was in the man. Yeah. God took parts from the man to form, to shape. And I must say he did wonderful on that shaping. And to
carry on.
And to create a helpmeet suitable for the man. So woman came from man's bone and his flesh. And that's what we were wanting to highlight for you to grasp in this particular lesson. Well, wow. Let's look at some slides I think will help to make this point more clear. And we'll hopefully pop up in the corner so that people can see us as well in this thing. There we are. And as we said, I believe I got this right. Yeah. This might be something you may want to consider as we go forward, because you may have not thought about this, but how I see you determines how I treat you. just think about that. That word see is pregnant. There's a lot in that. But how you see your spouse determines the way you will treat your spouse. Yeah.
Mhm.
So couples have to be intentional about teaching and seeing each other, not the way others see them, not the way you see them. You have to see them the way God sees them. And it takes on a whole new dimension on that. So when we look at it that way, then the way we see our spouse is going to determine that quality of
Love,
mhm,
respect,
mhm,
and
and communication, which is
that you
huge, right?
share. Yeah.
That one's big. That's big. But let's just not say these words because everybody says, oh yeah, I know these words. Let's look into these words, right? So another teaching that we have, and you can find these on YouTube or either the things I showed you earlier, you got to also know how to speak your spouse's love and apology language. We got a whole session on that. But we're talking about unconditional love.
That's
Yes,
big.
that's what we're talking about.
That's big.
So in marriage, that's going to involve first thing, not being judgmental. you can't see that person as someone that you're judging,
Mhm.
right? And so let's tag team these.
Okay.
Okay.
You need to love and accept the person for who they are, not what you want them to be.
Mm-hmm. And specifically dwelling on this word as they are,
Mhm.
right? Because they meant, oh, Uncle, don't we make so many mistakes coming into a marriage saying, well, I can fix him.
Yes.
I can fix her.
You can't fix it.
You don't want to start like that. If it's not right the way it is coming in, you better back off. But love is, it's a tender merging of the body and the soul and the spirit. You can't leave that part out. So you have to be intentional if you're going to move toward unconditional love. Now, if you choose not, you're going to drift into what a lot of people are working from, conditional love. If you do this, I'll do that.
It's not that kind of a deal.
That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna take this side, you take the next side.
Okay.
All right. In marriage, you got to have respect. I like the word complete genuineness or authenticity that you're having with each other. And so that respect for each other determines how you're going to handle problems that they come up. And we could talk about that a little bit, but we're not. But if you blow up and start acting crazy with your spouse when something doesn't go your way, you need to check why is that happening, because something's not right there, right?
It's true.
Yeah. So you have to look at that. And then respect occurs with acceptance that your spouse and children, and this is huge. Again, seeing them as God, you see them as a gift from God.
Exactly.
That changes everything to me. When God gives you something, it's a gift you recognize is from God, you're treating what God gave you. Can you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? This creates a truthfulness and an honesty. It brings connectivity, and from that you get this attraction. Yes.
Respect requires typical adjustments.
Yeah.
A lot of us are just happy the way we are, but being the way you are is not necessarily how people want you to be or can deal with you. So you have to make some difficult adjustments to change. And you got to recognize the person's heart. Where's your spouse? Are you having the same feelings, or do you feel the same way about certain things?
Yeah.
Those are things you talked about a minute ago about communication. And you have to have the ability to deal with the inevitable.
Yes.
Life happens.
It's going to be some things thrown your way, buddy.
Things go. Just when you think you got everything,
that's when it comes.
Check, something happens. But we know who's the ruler of that. We know where
it's coming from. Yeah.
You're gonna avoid an extramarital affair because you think, just because my wife is not or my husband is not agreeing with me, let me go find somebody who does.
That's a bad move right there.
And don't lie.
Yeah.
God said a liar shall not tarry in my sight. So if God doesn't want a liar, why should your spouse want that?
When we get into this more deeper, you're going to see how serious lying is, because it breaks trust.
Yes.
And there's aspects of marriages. It's just certain things you don't want to break because it's hard to regain them.
Yes.
You know, it's too costly, actually. So you have to be intentional about moving toward respect, because if you don't, you're going to drift into distrust. Yeah. So communication is a big one. So we got 2 slides on that one. So Uncle Mel, you can lead on this one.
Okay. How well do you listen?
Mm-hmm.
Do you listen to understand and accept, or not to correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's a difference between hearing and listening.
Yes, it is.
So I can hear you talk to me all day long, but I'm not taking what you
There
said
you go.
inside
Exactly.
and doing something about it.
Yep.
If you're telling me how you really feel, if you're offended by something I may say or do, I hear you talking, but it's just like going over my head.
Yep.
So you focus on what is being said, not as much on the way it's said, but you do have to use judgment and using your tone.
You can't throw
and
out
your
tone.
approach.
That's right.
Yeah, because sometimes what is being said is really the core of what your problems are.
Yeah, and the way it's being said. Now, we don't want to make tone a priority, but you can't throw it out either.
No.
But some people just, if the tone not right, they don't hear anything. And sometimes it's just the person's makeup that is really engaged in something, but it's not like
the body language. I think is the body
comes
language.
across. Yeah.
So you have to check yourself. Choose carefully the words you want to speak. You can't take words back. So think about what you want to speak and say. Put yourself in that situation and say these words to yourself and say, is this what I really want to hear?
Put the golden rule to it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Is this the way I want someone talking to me?
Exactly.
Right. And we got these styles. And sometimes you're just conflicting because of the style. And that, just like writing, right? When people are writing, they have certain writing styles and their styles conflict, but the text is fine. It's just not your style. And then you got the problem where, make sure you're probably extrovert and, you might talk past the point that you need to because you're talking too much. And like you said, might be a person that's not listening enough, right? And, there's people that want to share their feelings. As they want to tell you how they feel, and then there's those that want just the facts. Well, that's a style, that person wants to open and share. You just talking just the facts, you're gonna cut them to the heart, and they ain't gonna want to say anything. So how you gonna balance that? And then, of course, the style of I just think out loud, I just say whatever comes to my mind. That can be a problem.
That is a huge problem.
Well, others say, well, let's take turns. You share and I share, and
Well, so many people say what comes up comes out. You got to have a filter. You just can't say everything that you feel or think. Because again, it goes back to the golden rule. Do you want that to be said to you?
Exactly. There's no growth in that, is it? So communication is really the pillar, and it's supported by the foundation of trust. So this will be our last slide on this communication, and we actually get into the depths of the lesson. But communication is so important because it allows freedom, but differences in styles. That might not be my style, but because I see you as God sees you, He made that style in you. So I can appreciate the difference that you bring to the table that otherwise, if somebody is just like you, one of you are not needed.
You got a point there.
we don't want clones in the marriage, right? So adjust your style to honor each other. Appreciate the differences. And you know what will happen? It'll deepen the levels of communication because you become more transparent.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's best to say nothing. Not in a pouty way, not just this passive aggressive way, but sometimes just listen to what the person is saying. Listen to the words they're saying, listen to the rationale. And then sometimes you say, you know what? I didn't think of it that way. So learn to just say, sometimes I need to zip. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. And then after you hear it, It's no problem. Ask if you understand what I'm saying, and then clarify what you say. It's
Exactly.
good to have some kind of dialogue between in a discussion.
Yes.
It can't be discussion if it's just one person talking.
Yeah. My way or no way.
Yes.
Just listen. Don't say nothing.
And speak in an encouraging way.
Yes.
Don't put somebody down. Or don't make them feel like they're less than.
Absolutely.
Or that you're intimidated.
Remember, you're talking to God's creation.
Right.
Yeah, very important. Very important. So you got to be intentional about open communication, because if you don't, it's going to drift into distrust, which is really a killer. So you got to see it this way: bone of my bone, you are
flesh from my
and
flesh.
Flesh from my flesh. You know, we're going to dwell this point because we want to ask you some questions. Are you seeing your spouse the way God created them? And so we want to ask the men, and this is my part where I talk to the men. And so, where did you come from? You know, you're a tough guy. You come from the dirt. You know, you just rough, tough. You know, but the woman didn't come from the dirt. She came from you. You know, so God made both of you in His image. So she's got the image of God. You got the image of God. Both of you are made in His image. So what does that mean? This is what you got to internalize, to make that decision of what you're dealing with is a gift from God. And when you do that, I think that helps you to answer some of these questions. How do you, I'm going to pause for effect on each one. How do you see your wife? Honest answer. This is questions you would be answering as you're looking at this, hopefully you and your spouse. And she might even want to know the answer to some of these questions, you know. Is she a part of you? And the emphasis on a part of you, not apart from you, but is she a part of you? Really? Is she right now? I mean, you can give the Sunday school answer and answer the right answer to all these questions, but is that the true answer, right? So is she seen as given to you? Do you actually, at this moment, this given time, as you're seeing this, do you see her as given to you by God? Is she seen as made from you for you? Think about that now. Do you see that she's made from you and for you? So many times in marriage, they are conflicting and they're in competition. How can you be in competition with your spouse? That's totally that's out of order. When you see her, like when I see you, do you say, wow, man, that's authentic for me. Because she is bone of my flesh, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. I see her that way. Can you see it? That's important. And one more I want to bring forth to you, that you must see this way. If you do, you can take a good marriage and make it a great marriage, and then a great marriage is godly marriage. And so if you want that, because it's really great, it really is when you have a godly marriage. If you see her as God created her, if you do that, then that's going to open the doors to have a wonderful, wondrous, and mysterious marriage relationship.
Mysterious.
Yes, it's some mystery in that you really can't obtain until you begin to see her as God sees her. And God made both of you, as we said before, but God made her from what you had inside of you. That's something, when you understand she came from you, then you realize the greatest relationship partner that you'll ever have is the one you married. And that perception, that concept, that understanding will change and deal with the lies the enemy will try to speak to you regarding your right, because he's always bombarding you to give you negative thoughts about your spouse. And I tell you, don't believe any of those lies. Well, my last slide, I believe, before she gives a woman perspective. When you do see her this way, and so many marriages don't have what I'm getting ready to read here, but can. You share the highest levels of intimacy and adoration toward each other. when you see her the way God not only made her, but here's the thing, understand the purpose for which she was made. See, you may not know the purpose which she's made, though I've spoke it, but you don't, it's not forefront in your mind why she was made. Well, let me tell you why she was made. She was made so you wouldn't be alone. She was given to you by God so you have a companion suitable for yourself.
That's what he said.
That's what he
it's
said.
Not good for man to be alone.
That's right. So I rest my case. Let's hear from the woman's side.
When I think of bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, the bone of my bone makes me think, we'll just do that one first.
Okay.
Strength.
Okay.
The bones are what maintains the body. It gives you the foundation of how you stand. So strength. You're foundationally sound. A man should be foundationally sound, just, rock solid, because he's the head of the household. And we talked about that in a lesson some time back.
Yes, we did.
But a woman sees her man as being that person. They feel secure. They feel that in that strength, you're supportive, or you support the family. You're a provider.
Absolutely.
And when I think of the flesh of my flesh, I think of emotions. This is an emotional side. You've got the strength for the bones and the flesh with emotions. And that relationship should be loving.
Definitely.
It should be dedicated to the family. You're emotionally engaged in what happens in the family, whether it's with the children or whether it's with the well-being of the household or whatever is going on. Even for taking a kid to a game, you're emotionally engaged to what goes on, and you're empathetic. You show empathy. I like the soft side of a man. I don't think a man should be just, I want him to be rock solid and strong and foundationally strong.
Well, when it comes to emotions.
But when it comes to emotions, I don't need somebody that just think that they can't show me that they cry, or that show me that they understand what I'm going through.
I hope you guys are listening to this.
Because that makes the woman feel good. Okay, he knows where I'm coming from. If I'm not feeling well, he's, okay, honey, I'll do the dishes tonight. Any little thing, it shows a lot. And the intimate side of it, that's the emotional side. You want it to be a partnership, not where one person is involved and the other person is in la la land or so worn out that they can't respond. You want it to be emotionally tied in together, where both of you are feeling the same thing. And then on the other side of emotions, forgiving.
Gotta have that.
I can't be right all the time. You can't be right all the time. We're both gonna do some things that we have to say, I'm sorry. So
let's go to your second one.
My second, still in the strength side, I mentioned head of household. We want to see a Christian role model. We want to see somebody who's grounded in the Word of God, who believes that God made man, made woman, bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. And if you believe that, you're gonna be that Christian role model. You're gonna have your mind and your heart dedicated to Christ.
It's just things you will and things you will not do.
That's right. You want some financial stability. We understand in this day and age that it usually takes two people to sustain the way inflation is and whatever. But we don't want it one-sided where one person is given and the other one's not, or you taking the money for the household and doing something else.
Imbalanced.
We want you to be, again, in tune to what's happening in the family, not just part of it, not just coming in and playing with the kids a little while, but the entire well-being of the family, and help with the children. Kids love to see daddy involved in things. They want to know what their dad did. My daddy did this, or my daddy did this. And the woman is saying, oh, my husband's so good. He's taking some time. He's taking the load off of me. So, and being strength, you are that person that we look to. You know, everybody, like the kid may look to mommy when they're not feeling well. But we look to our husbands when we know that we need some help. We really need some help. We can manage some things, but we can't manage it all. Again, in the emotions, the love, the affection, a hug or a kiss on the neck or something, just some show of affection, not a stone wall. And you're caring about us. You listen. We talked about the listening.
I was thinking when you said that, kiss at the sink while you're washing dishes.
Yeah, I actually thought of that image.
It's unexpected, you know. She's working, and then you come and give her a kiss in the kitchen while she's working, kiss while she's at the laundry machine, the washing machine. I'm trying to convey to you some of the things that she's trying to say and put it in perspective. Just briefly, my son Joseph is 32 now. When he was growing up young, we played video games together. So he got up to a point where he was doing streaming. So he said, Dad, I want to stream you and I playing Space Invaders together. Some of you guys might know that, but it's old game. But he was young, man. He was in his in his teens. He might have been 18, 19. So he streamed it. And just this week, a kid saw it. That old game, watched it, saw both of us playing together on the game. And the kid said, oh, man, I wish my dad would play video games with me.
Oh, see there? See there? And that's what kids expect. They want to see you actively involved in the family's well-being.
How about that?
And that's on there.
Yeah.
And the other thing, we talked about communication. You can't say that enough, really.
Yeah, you got to do it.
And lastly, humbleness. Humbleness. You know, you don't have to be a warrior all the time.
Yeah, I think, and she does that so well. I don't feel like I got to be Superman all the time. I can show Clark Kent to her, and she still loves me as Clark Kent.
It doesn't take
Superman.
anything. It lets me know that
it makes a lot of
you
difference.
have a heart.
Yeah.
And that you see what I see, and you share what I'm experiencing.
Right.
So we like that soft side. Again, I tell them all the time, I like your soft side. You know, I know that when we were younger, we used to hear men can't wear pink.
Never cry.
And you never cry.
We don't cry.
Never.
Especially from a woman.
That is so erroneous.
And you got to be this all the time.
You don't.
That just really setting you up for a nervous breakdown.
Right.
Doing stuff like that, trying to hold all that stuff in. Now, I will qualify this. I had a great woman here. I mean, I see her as a gift from God. And we're not going to really talk about this because this is the last slide. We're going to show you a book now that you can get into some home study that'll help deal with a vertical relationship, because that's what you really need to have a horizontal relationship. But this got to be both for you guys. The wife got to see it as well, because you know, they are husbands is giving, and the wife is like, you know,
right.
So please, this is a balanced situation where you both are coming at it from the same perspective, that both of you are a gift that God's been given, and you want to honor and respect it. And you'll be so glad that you did. Well, I always like to give resources. We went through this. You can also check out YouTube. We went quite a few times. We actually went through the whole book, you know, and we encourage you to do it. You can either listen to the video, you can buy the book, you can do a small group study with, you know, some of your friends or just you and your husband. We recommend it because we believe, we went through this. And so you can also look at it on YouTube and see what we did with it. Well, our next study is going to be August 24th. And we're going to talk about handling your money in a blended family. Because when you examine money in marriage in a blended family, it's not quite the same as with other families that are for the first marriage. We all offer some things differently now that we see, because we blended that I used to say certain things when I was teaching. Now I see things a little bit more different because I'm now in a blended family. Well, we want to end it in prayer. And this is the prayer we've been praying at the end. And we would like for you to pray with us on this because we think this is the bedrock, this key, that the foundation that actually holds all of this together. So if you would, shall we say?
Yes.
Father, I surrender all of me to you right now. I put you first from now on and choose to find my life, my happiness in Jesus alone. Fill me with your Son, Jesus, in such a powerful way that I become the man
or woman
you created me to be, in the power and character of the name of Jesus. I pray. Amen. Well, this is Otis Naquinetta saying we bid you God's grace. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us, and we are definitely enjoying the journey. Hope you are as well. Bye-bye.